Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
So till now, we have looked at how to use RStudio to access programs in R, define variables, work with variables, manipulate variables, write functions using different control structures, and so on. This is the last part where we are going to look at basic graphics and data visualization in R. As you know, data visualization is an important part of data analytics, and there are several ways in which one could visualize data. In this module, we are going to show you very, very simple visualization techniques which are easily programmed from the console in R. If one wants more sophisticated visualization, then there is a package called ggplot which can be used to do a more sophisticated visualization. We are not going to cover that as part of this module. Nonetheless, we have supplemental material on ggplot which will be available as part of this course packet, which an interested participant can look at to learn more about ggplots and graphics. In this module, we will cover these three types of plots: scatter plots, line plots, and bar plots. So scatter plot is a very simple plot where you take a variable and then simply plot its values. So we're going to use things that we've learned before. Here's a very simple R code to do the scatter plot. You have variable x, which is from 1 to 10, basically says a variable 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 10. And then I'm defining another variable y, which is square of x. So y would be 1, 4, 9, and so on. And we ask for y to be plotted. And the plot shows up as follows. I have in the y-axis the variable y. And in the x-axis, basically, I have the index. Because I do not have an x and y in this plot, I just plot y. For every value of y, there is an index that keeps increasing. Now, here is another example, a data that is available online. We pull that data. Here is a data which has 32 observations on 11 variables. What we're going to show here is the following. In the previous scatter plot, it was a plot of only one variable, so index was in the x-axis. Now, if I have data like this, is it possible to plot two different variables and see how one behaves as a function of another? So here is a scatter plot. The code is here. So we plot empty cars. $weight would mean that we are going to plot the weight, car weight, in the x-axis. Empty cars $mpg means we are going to plot miles per gallon in the y-axis. We are doing a scatter plot example. The main refers to the title that will come in the plot. Now, we also need an x label and y label for this. And as part of the function, we can give an x label, which is a car weight, and y label, which is miles per gallon. And there's also another argument which basically can be used to pick different shapes and sizes of these scatter objects. So that is something that you can play around with. In this case, PCH is 19 gives you this scatter plot. So there was no line going through the data. You can also draw a line plot. It's very simple, same syntax. We use an R code where x goes from 1 to 10. Y is x squared. Now, what we want to do is we want to plot x, y as a function of x, but instead of a scatter plot, we want a continuous line. So all you do is say type equal to L in the plot, and you get a line plot as shown below. We will now look at how to do bar plots, which are also very useful to visualize. So I'm going to show you the syntax for the bar plot. So let's take this code here, where h is defined as the numbers 7, 12, 28, 3, and 41, which refer to revenue. And m is defined as a variable, which is a set of strings: March, April, May, June, July. So basically, this data tells you in the months of March, April, May, June, and July, what were the corresponding revenues. Now we want to do a bar plot with this. So the way you do this is you say bar plot h, which is what you want to come in the y-axis. X label is month, Y label is revenue, column is blue. We will see when we see the plot what this means. And as I told you before in the last slide, main is revenue chart is going to be the title of the bar plot, and there is a border red, and let's see what happens when I implement this command. As you notice here, you will see that on the y-axis you have the revenue values with the correct Y label revenue. On the x-axis you have bars for each of this month, March, April, May, June, July, and you have revenue chart. Now in the previous slide we had seen that the columns are in blue and the borders are in red. So if you notice this picture here, each of this bar is blue and there is a red border around each of this bar. So that is how this bar plot looks. So till now we have discussed very simple single bar charts and scatter plots and so on. There might be cases where you want to consolidate several plots into the same picture. Here is an example of 8 scatter plots in the same frame in a tabular format. It is possible to generate plots like this using R. So I'm going to show you the code that was used to generate this plot in the next slide. The code basically uses the same control structures, for loops, and you have 2 for loops here because you have 2 rows of graphs, and then within the for loop for each of the graph you can specify what the x label is, y label is, what is the x variable is, and y variable, and so on. However, this code becomes more complicated when you want to do more complicated graphs and visualizations. What ggplot allows you to do is it already has a grammar by which these can be very easily defined, and you can get very complicated and sophisticated plots done through R. So if you were to do this in R, you need to know when to introduce a for loop. You need to know which data frame to use for what columns. You have to know how to position graph in each of these grids. But after doing all of this, the visuals are still less pleasing than you would get using more sophisticated graphic packages such as ggplot in R. So in summary, in this we saw scatter plots, line plots, and bar plots. While they were very easy to generate, we also saw the disadvantages of these basic graphics. So if we want much better graphics, you should use other packages such as ggplot to generate this.